Okay, we are back with Toothpick Archeology today. No toothpick, unfortunately. Darn it, I need to go and buy some. Not good. Anyway, I wanted to go through with you guys a couple new things that I found, actually just pretty easily. One is right here. It is a spear all the way. There was a point you could see where it's cracked off, so it was a core to begin with. But then, I should take that back. Is it potentially a spear or it's a hand? I think it's a hand axe. Sorry guys, I'm still trying to learn on the fly as well. This was never my area of interest. I had Nebraskan area of interest. So again, learn on the fly. I think, although it looks like they're setting it up for a spear because of this point right here and then off, and this was serrated. So this may have, that's serrated as well. So they may have just taken, something may have gone wrong with this and they made it into a hand axe. You can see the original platform is right here. Normally, if you see one platform, it means that that item was indeed a core. Now again, a core, I think I've explained, is you go and you knock off pieces to get the tools that you want out of them. Let's say right here would be a core. You know, you knock off a piece of an arrowhead, and this, not that this is it, but this comes off, and then you go to using this to actually, finalizing a tool. So remember, these are all tools. You know, whether they're arrowheads, whether they're, it doesn't really matter. They're all tools. So I'm going to show you this one. Here's one. I think I actually went over this one, so we're going to skip this one pretty quickly. Definitely was meant to be a spear, but it never made it there. Sorry, my dog is hitting. You see all the gold in it, which is interesting. Now, my bet right now is Native Americans actually were not a big fan of gold up here, because actually it's malleable and it's not good for making lithic flaking debitage, or lithic tools, excuse me. So if you have gold in here, this is going to be far less rigid. It will be a little bit stronger because the gold can actually mesh a little bit, being a actual metal. However, that will not mean that it can stay sharp for very long. So a mixture of gold is fine. If you actually have significant gold areas, then it's not going to work. And by the way, guys, if you ever have these, do not put them in water, period. Brush them off, and that's it. Brush them. You can brush them pretty firmly. Be very careful around the edges. Now, to the items that I just most picked up today, which I think are really cool. I'm not going to keep you guys too much in wait, so you've already seen this. I'm going to move this bad boy out of the way. I'm going to move this, and I forgot I have one in my pocket, which I'm now sitting on, which is dumb. But hey, this is Toothpick Archeology. What can you expect when things aren't going right? I mean, going wrong. They should be going wrong all the time. Okay, so right here, we have an interesting tool. There's easily a thumb spot right here. Easily. Really well. You can see it, you can feel it. And again, objects you can feel that just seem to make sense. That's normally what they are. So for example, this edge is super serrated. So if you were cutting something with this, you can again see the serrations here, like a knife blade. So your thumb would go here. Actually, this is one of the better, I would dare call this a thumbnail scraper because it's a little too much. But again, once again, I think this was supposed to be an arrowhead. Look at all the serrations going to here. Maybe wrong. Don't forget, they had smaller hands then. So, but God, this is actually a really, really nice knife, if this was indeed to be a knife. It is a lot of times hard to determine. But if you just feel it long enough, you start to get the example of what it should be when it comes down to knife blades. Knife blades are very, very different. They cover all the spectrum of everything. So, you know, they can be very small, they can be bigger. Bigger knife blades, you know, you'll find a lot more earlier on. let's say this was a thumbnail scraper, which it's not, but let's say you did have a thumbnail scraper, be much smaller like this. This is your standard like size for a thumbnail scraper. Oh, this may be, no, I'm just kidding. This was just a flake, I believe. So a thumbnail scraper is just very, very tiny enough that you can actually scrape like that. So I'll leave that just to tell you. Okay, let's enough playing around. Let's bring in the new artifacts that I found within, like, I don't know, 20 minutes, I think. So here we go. Number one, right there. Number one is a spear. It's still dirty on the inside, but that's fine. That's the way it should be. But you can see the nice jagged edge here. Yep, and it's super serrated. This side, super out. Wow, that one's really serrated. And again, you see this bump out? That bump out is fine. Why create more work for yourself when you have already something that just came off with the original flake? Why change it? So if something's already serrated and sharp, there's no reason at all to actually change this design whatsoever. So you can see here's one platform, here's another platform. So again, like I said, normally when you see two platforms, that normally means that this was made to an object. Remember that. Two platforms or more, most likely meant to be an artifact. I mean a tool from that exact item. Okay, we'll get rid of this one. Here we go. Item number, sorry for all that, by the way. 2. All right. 2 is also indeed, I believe, a spear point and or an arrowhead. But if it were, it would be a pretty damn thick, difficult arrowhead to actually use. Once again, this design, you can see here, is a older design. Excuse me, a newer design, simply because of the flange here. This flange, like I said before, would go into a piece of, let's say, well stick. They'd open it up, and they'd slide this part in, and then they'd wrap it with sinew. So then you had a projectile, spear, or arrowhead. This one, actually, the more I look at it, it's got to be a spear. That would fly straighter. It wouldn't be unbalanced like the older arrowheads or spears, where they do not have, like this, for example, they do not have a back to them, meaning that you would have to actually somehow tie, which would be really difficult. So you have a stick and you would tie the sinew around it, making it extremely off-balanced when you throw it, because if you look here, if you were to throw something like this and you put your stick here, well, what's going to happen? The weighted side is going to go like this or like this, and in air you're just going to have a very, very unpredictable projectile, no matter what. Sorry about these things, they actually absorb water. So anyway, to give you a little bit of info on that. So here, that's why you can tell it's slightly newer, just because of the rear end. Now, it could be slightly off of that, because that actually was a platform, as you can see. This was knocked off as a platform. And so this one may be, it's questionable whether it's new or old. New and old, I mean, like super, I'm not talking about, 100 years ago old. I'm talking about, this could be, if it has this platform, and that's how they actually tied it together, then we're looking, at least, so let me make something very clear, by the way. I know you want to see the spear point a little bit more, so I'll keep rotating it. So there's a thing that gives you an idea about when humans made contact with the Native Americans. Not humans, I should say, white Europeans, because humans are Native Americans, probably more so than we are as any white settler, family, anything like that. Anyway, so Native Americans, if you see glass beads, so once you find actual pieces of glass beads, they made human contact with, god dang it, I started saying the same thing. Apologies. You made contact with the European settlers. So glass beads were worth a lot to Native Americans. So, you know, they would trade a lot of furs, projectiles, anything. There was a lot of things that they would trade for glass beads, because glass beads then became powerful. It showed you how powerful you were in a society. And before that, like I was saying, they didn't really care. They just wanted a projectile that worked, not a projectile that you know, that you would trade for, and so, or use the gold in it. I do have a bunch of objects that do have gold, but they're in a spear form. So once again, it's like, well, there you go. Okay, here's another one. I hope I didn't show you this one already. Maybe I did. Yeah, I did. Never mind. Never mind. Sorry. See, things always go wrong. I mean, come on. We wouldn't be Toothpick Archeology if things weren't going wrong. So come on. Get into the game. Okay. Here's another one. Let's look at this closely, okay? I just picked this up, so it's a little hard. I haven't even looked at it myself. However, from grabbing it, holding it, once again, we have serrations here. It's actually serrations as well here as well, but then there's a, gosh, it almost feels like a nice little handhold here that goes across all the way to here. So if there's serrations here, that's strange. This, again, if you were to, it goes all the way across there. The key is, are there serrations on this side? Yes, there are. So if you look down this, on each side, you can see if I can get a little closer, the actual serrations that are punched out there. I think that's a good angle. I hope that makes sense for you guys. So that's pressure flaking, when you take an antler and you pop these out. This is actually a spear point. Now, this spear point, why I was able to hold it like this and feel it, is because I believe that's where you would have had sinew or other type of lashing material that would go around this, and you would have created pretty darn and large, as well as most likely a very killing like spear. So yeah, so that's that. I'll move that one back. And we got this boy right here. Now this one's interesting to me. It uses a lot of different minerals in it, and you can see there's just a ton in here. There's a ton going on. Now again, quartz here is kind of like the stone, that and flagstone. So what we mostly have here in Colorado. So it's kind of weird. I mean, again, this is what most Native Americans looked for, and miners. They were looking for different minerals. Miners, because it showed maybe attracted gold. Native Americans, because they wanted to create tools. So they wanted those to be hard and resilient. And then you can recraft them. So that was the big deal for me when I was working in the lab, dealing with this kind of stuff. I'm running out of daylight, guys, so I'm going to talk kind of fast. Actually, I'm just going to skip this real quick, and we're going to move to one of my favorite things that I just picked up today, which is this. Okay, from the outside, you're like, oh, yeah, perfect looking spear, right? Or arrowhead. And sometimes that's what I saw on the ground, right? Sometimes you just go off of shape. Sometimes you go off of the fact that there's different minerals. Now, we're here, right? We got, let's see, one platform here, yeah? Looks like it's not some crap in there. Make sure that you always get, if there's something in there, make sure you get it out, whether you're using a brush, etc. Because they can actually burrow into the rock depending on what they are. There are species that do that, and then you start losing your artifacts. So anyway, going back to this, what does this look like? Looks like a spear, right? So if you cover this up here, probably what, an arrowhead? Oh, getting more towards a spear, or a knife on this side. So So remember, shape does matter. Mineral types do matter. So when you're looking for these things, keep an eye out for that. Once you start figuring out shape, it's going to really help you. Now, I am colorblind myself, so I could see white. I developed my color blindness later in life, so I'm still able to see certain colors, most likely due to the fact that my brain became accustomed to it. But when they get into strange ranges, like I can see green, yellow, all that kind of stuff, but when it's like turquoise, I have no idea what that color means, or forest green, I have no idea what that color means. Okay, so we're almost out of time, so I just want to make sure we do this quickly. Okay, last thing, we'll flip this over. And what do we see immediately? We see nice serrations. Nice serrations. And on this one, which makes it even more interesting, you have a little bit of a backbone. So the backbone will help keep it a little stronger, as well as you basically have 3 different points that are entering most likely an animal. It also could be a person, but most likely an animal. And you can see on the back here, there's a perfect place to actually connect your spear with some kind of stick or whatever. I thought at first, well, maybe this is just the punch to actually use in percussion flaking, but then the more I looked at it, I realized how much of it is actually flaked. So this is actually a beautiful example of a spear point. So that, I think, is that the extent of things today? I believe so. I mean, I have found other things that have come up. Another spear. Okay, this one I looked at because it has different minerals. It's not quartz. It's got something else going on in it. So you can see once again, both of these are serrated sides. There's you actually have in the back the tail again. Once we were talking about the tail, means it's a little newer. Again, when I didn't get finished with that conversation, but we'll do that after I show you this. You can see too, again, it has a backbone. That backbone adds strength as well as a 3rd point to go into whatever you're throwing it at or using against, whatever. So we'll leave this out. We'll leave this for the day as I finish up our conversation. What I was saying was that basically, I'm not saying these are like this one because it has this on the back, that this has, oh, it's, 100 years old. I'm talking about, this is centuries. I mean, we're looking at centuries. It's pre-contact. So pre-contact for here in Colorado would have been probably anywhere from, gosh, and I'm still working on it for here, for the location I'm in, but you're looking at a spear point that is probably anywhere from, I want to say 8,000 BCE. The ones that don't have this back end can be, did I say 8,000? I meant to say 800 BCE. Sorry, not BCE, excuse me. After Common Era. So, some coyote making noises. Anyway, so this is after Common Era. So we're looking at maybe I want to throw out like, oh, it's hard. This one's hard, but it's after Common Era. So definitely it could run all the way up to before and after Common Era, but most likely this is before Common Era. Sorry, God, I keep messing that up. I apologize, guys. I've been super sick. This is the first video I've made in a long time, so just because I've been so sick, I really wanted to post something, but my mind's really messed up. So anyway, these things, like compared to this, which we were talking about earlier, this beautiful spear, this doesn't have that. It doesn't have that little wing shape to it. So this is going to be older. This might be BCE. And then this is after Common Era. So I'm gonna have to look up times, but this area up here where I'm at is just a plethora, excuse me, of artifacts. What that tells me is that this area was used for a long period of time, and was came here for minerals, the materials they liked to actually deal with what they needed to do. Now look at this. This is flaked off there. That's the platform. The rest of this, every part of it, is serrated. It's got a nice serration there, all the way up to the top to the serrations here. This is kind of a crazy object to me, because if indeed this is serrated all the way, and I know it doesn't have a point, but it probably broke off, but if that point's there, this is, I thought at first it was a hand axe. I don't think it is anymore. I'm starting to believe this is a spear, which would make it almost a Clovis or pre-Clovis spear, which would be insane, because you're hunting megafauna with this. So this is one I'm keeping a close eye on, protecting it, everything. Oh, this one has a backbone as well. Interesting fact, in case anybody wanted to know, you cannot have in Geneva Convention right now in warfare, and this is something I also study, but in military warfare, you cannot have a knife or bayonet that has 3 points, 4 points, whatever. You can only have it be sharp on 2 sides, because it makes the wound cavity, if somebody's fixing it, much easier to stitch up as opposed to something tearing things up. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that. I know I missed something I was discussing, but again, frankly, it's dark. It's starting to rain, and at the same time, I need to get these objects in a safe area, as well as get my voice all right, because that was a lot on my voice, and very, very, yeah, I just need to take a break. Look at that. That's probably hand axe right there. I can't remember if I showed you guys this. Oh, this is a core. Never mind. This is a core. But it's serrated on all sides, which is really cool. So this is a really, really neat piece of history. Just wanted to show you guys that one more time. And then I will get back to, I can't remember what I was saying. There was one other item I was missing. But anyway, point being, oh, I found out, by the way, there's a cool app called Stone Identifier. I found out this was agate, which was pretty interesting. Didn't know what it was, but so this app actually scans the stone and then tells you what it is. And sometimes most of the time it's correct. I've come on a couple where it's and no. Well, to finish off all this, as my dog is barking. Well, my parents' dog is barking. Sorry, I had to get a little loud there. But this has been the Toothpick Archaeologist. Please like, maybe subscribe. I'm doing this for fun, guys. If you enjoy it, then just like and maybe subscribe. I don't really care. I'm just enjoying this. So you don't have to do anything like that. I'm just trying to put this out there so people can see Native American history, the culture that we have come into, and for Native Americans to show that, wow, you had an amazing civilization, and I want to conserve all of this. So this will all be, like I said, going to a museum. Please, guys, if you find something like this, anything, please don't sell it. Just go to your local museum or your local university. It doesn't matter, just one of those. Let them see it. I mean, you are helping history move, as opposed to selling an artifact to somebody who has no idea. They just put it in a case, it's gone, and nobody will ever see it again. That's really sad. So anyway, and I have what I believe to be possibly an Indian burial mound, which I'll have to contact the police, of course, about. But I will be doing a special, probably a live stream on that if that is indeed the case. There seems to be 2 of them up here. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Like I said, I'm exhausted. So thank you for being with me here on this episode. And if you have any questions at all, again, I'm not a real big channel. Probably will never be. I don't really care. Like I said, this is a hobby for me. I enjoy it. And I am technically an archaeologist because I completed field school, which then makes me technically an archaeologist. No, I don't have a doctorate, but I'm working on my master's. Okay, so any questions, please feel free to ask. Until then, this has been the Toothpick Archaeologist, messing things up and making things look stupid in the process of everything. Oh, and the best part is filming at night. So yeah, that's always really good, right? So, all right, guys, enjoy this video. Enjoy your week, and I hope you had a good Memorial Day weekend as well as a nice upcoming weekend. All right, guys, take care.